Ms. Greene for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to urge the House and the Senate together to consider what terrible days we're in for the American taxpayer. America has been enslaved in $34 trillion in debt. And yet over the weekend, the Senate went into overtime throughout the Super Bowl and beyond into the early morning hours to pass a $95 billion package to fund foreign wars. $95 billion, and not a penny of that goes to anything for any American. Our border is completely being invaded every single day by millions and millions of people from all over the world, over 160 countries. Over 10 million people have crossed the border during the Biden administration. Yet the Senate works overtime to fund foreign wars. $95 billion and $60 billion of that is to go to Ukraine. America has already sent $113 billion to the failing war in Ukraine. It's a complete buzzsaw for an entire generation of Ukrainian men. This is a land where there should be peace talks continuously ending this war, not a place where we continue to write blank checks and say, keep the money laundering going, keep the corruption going, keep selling our weapons to lands and countries and governments we do not know. There's so many stories of corruption coming from Ukraine, but they claim that we have to fight for the democracy of Ukraine. That is a lie. Ukraine, they suspended their elections. If we're fighting for democracy, why do we fight for a country that suspends their elections, locks up American journalists, and destroys free speech? This is nothing but a money laundering scheme, all in the backs of the American taxpayer, while the American taxpayer is punched in the gut every single day as our border is kept wide open. The American people do not support continuing this war. The American people work hard for every single penny they earn, and it's time for the House and the Senate, Republicans and Democrats, to remember our oath of office, and it's time for us to serve the American people, the American interest, American causes, American businesses, and the American border. But yet this institution has lost its way. $34 trillion in debt. And the only thing that we're to talk about is to continue funding a war in Ukraine and to fund a war in Israel. That's a danger for Israel. If Israel takes America's money, they open themselves up to the Biden administration and the State Department, hooking their hook in their government and telling them what to do in their war. Israel doesn't need to be told what to do in their war. They need to be allowed to conduct their war as they see fit. They were attacked horrendously by Hamas, who are terrorists. Leave Israel alone and let them fight their war. But yet, no, every single time we come back into town, the main issues we talk about here is how to fund foreign countries, foreign wars, and foreign governments while the entire world invades our country. And the American taxpayers are forced to pay for it all. This is a complete failure for the American taxpayer. It is a betrayal of our citizens. And this institution, the House and the Senate, need to remember our one constitutional duty, and that is to create a budget that funds our government for our people, a budget that does not enslave our people into further debt. And yet we have failed to do that. We've only passed 7 of our 12 appropriation bills, and the Senate has not finished passing their appropriation bills either. I'm here to urge my colleagues in the House and the Senate that we must come together and remember our oath of office, remember the people that we serve, and do our jobs. We serve the American people, and we should be serving the United States of America.